Okay, so we just got out of Johnny Somali's third court day here in the beautiful yet rainy Seoul, South Korea. And it's safe to say, last time things went terrible for him. Today things went awful, and honestly kind of embarrassing because a lot of the stuff they did not make sense whatsoever. Clearly, he was way more locked in. He realized how much he screwed up now, it seems like, and he's realizing, uh-oh, I might be stuck in prison for a long time.
The self-proclaimed king of chaos just ran out of luck. No more get-out-of-jail cards this time. Johnny Somali, whose real name is Ramzi Khalid Ismail, has officially pleaded guilty to obstruction charges in a Seoul courtroom, and the verdict hit hard with that single word, guilty.
So today, at least he was very serious. So, currently he's facing 8 counts, or 8 charges, and 4 of which are obstruction of businesses, 2 of which are misdemeanors. He pled guilty to all 6 of those charges. Then you have the 2 big charges, which are the deepfakes charges, and the deepfake charges are for distributing the deepfakes.
He locked himself into 5 years behind bars and a brutal $37,000 bill. This isn't some fine he can laugh off on stream or twist into viral content anymore. It's a harsh reality check for the man who built his name off mocking others and testing limits. The once untouchable provocateur is about to learn exactly what happens when a whole country decides it's done being his playground. And that's not even the end of it.
And that extends the whole trial process by easily 2 to 3 months. So if he just pleaded guilty to that, things would be over pretty quickly. He would get his sentence and he would at least know what his fate is. But now they're deciding to extend the process for no real upside. And by him not pleading guilty, that just makes the sentence even harsher on him.
There's still the deepfake case waiting in the shadows like a guillotine, one that could tack on another 7 years, pushing his sentence to a staggering 12. The man who used to sprint through cities screaming into his camera now sits in silence, with only the ticking clock of South Korea's justice system reminding him. His chaos finally caught up to him. Let's not forget, Johnny Somali built his entire brand on chaos. Every wild stunt, every insult, every public meltdown was his twisted version of content.
Ramzi Khalid Ismail has been hit with a new criminal charge. That's right, as of 2 days ago, on the 25th of July of 2025, we have a new criminal charge for Johnny Somali, aka Ramzi Khalid Ismail.
From mocking strangers in Japan with atomic bomb jokes to dumping instant noodles across a convenience store counter in Seoul, he treated entire nations like they were background props for his live streams. For years, he wore that madness like armor, loud, smug, and untouchable. Even in court, he couldn't help himself. He showed up late, still reeking of the night before, rocking that red hat with 3 bold letters, clearly trying to play the political card instead of owning up as a criminal defendant. But South Korea wasn't impressed. Not with prosecutors holding a 90% conviction rate and a public that's long past tired of his circus act. Now the empire of cheap shock value is crumbling fast. The same man who once mocked Hiroshima, smeared baby oil on comfort woman statues, and danced shirtless at memorials of real tragedy is finally facing his own downfall. His old slogan doesn't fit anymore. It's not "Make America Great Again," it's "Make Johnny Face the Music." That $37,000 penalty isn't just a number, it's a message written in bold letters. Your chaos comes with a price. Sure, it's not Hollywood cash, but for Johnny Somali, it's absolutely crushing.
This is called merging in a charge. It is atypical for this to happen once, but it is completely unprecedented from the people I've talked to, lawyers, others in this process, to see this many merged into the case, which really means they are hitting him and with needles and needles and needles procedurally.
Legal insiders say his defense costs in South Korea are already hitting 6 figures. And the worst part, he can't stream, can't travel, and can't escape. The man who once bragged about making money off controversy is now broken grounded. Every new court date just drags him further into the hole. That fine isn't a slap on the wrist, it's a stamped receipt marked consequences. A cold reminder that real life doesn't come with donations, super chats, or a like and subscribe safety net. As one lawyer close to the case put it, repeat offenders don't get mercy in Korean courts. They get the maximum. And guess what? Somali just landed himself squarely in that category. But here's where things got explosive. One of his alleged victims filed a petition straight to the court, demanding Somali get the harshest sentence possible.
We have a trend that I called out in the beginning, and I said this would happen, and exactly as I predicted, we are seeing new charges added right before each court date. Every single.
The document described the emotional damage, his total lack of remorse, and his refusal to make things right. And that might be the final nail in his so-called content creator empire. 3 key factors could flip Johnny Somali's fate from just a few years in jail to double digits. And the details are jaw-dropping. Imagine sitting on a bus when a grown man with a live stream audience of thousands starts blasting vulgar sounds and throwing out verbal jabs at strangers. Or picture being at an amusement park with your kids while this same guy uses robotic voice messages to spew creepy, inappropriate lines near children. That's not comedy. It's chaos crossing the line. These weren't harmless pranks. They were full-blown invasions of public safety and dignity. And now, the victims are done staying quiet. They're fighting back hard. In South Korea's courts, proof of harm is everything. And that's exactly what the petitioner is stacking up piece by piece.
For the people out there, this is the sentencing range before today. It changes wildly. And you're going to see it in the best way. And that's the best way for me and those who want Johnny Somali convicted, and the worst way for Johnny Somali after this one is added.
Every sentence in that document adds another weight to Somali's shoulders, and the pressure is building fast. But the legal storm isn't the only thing brewing. Behind closed doors, whispers are flying about what insiders are calling a secret deportation bargain. Word is, Somali's team is in panic mode, trying to cut a quiet deal to get him shipped back to the US before the hammer drops. It's pure desperation. Better to face a mild slap on the wrist back home than risk a Korean sentence that could lock him up for the next decade. Now here's where the scandal gets wild. If that rumored deportation deal is even real, it would be seen as a full-on slap in the face to South Korea's sovereignty. Politicians have already dragged his name through parliament debates. The public has literally attacked him in the streets, and people online even put a bounty on his head, offering cash to anyone who'd punch him live on stream. That's how deep the outrage runs. So can anyone seriously believe Seoul's courts would just let him quietly slip out of the country to dodge more drama? Not a chance. If these whispers hold any truth, Somali's team is out here trying to play chess, but the prosecution's already calling checkmate. And that's before we even get to the darkest chapter, the deepfake scandal. Somali's accused of using AI to create a disturbing fake video of a female streamer in a compromising situation, and that one move could rewrite his entire story.
In fact, we can see this thing go as quickly as going into, let's say, October, November, maybe it could end, or it could go into 2026. It's very, very possible that can happen at this point. It really all depends on how this plays out and also on how Johnny pleads.
Artificial intelligence laws are still murky, but this case, it's about to draw the line in the sand for digital exploitation. This isn't just the collapse of one man's ego. It could become the landmark case that defines how Asia handles AI abuse. For Johnny Somali, those 5 years might not be the ending. They could just be the prologue to something far worse. If Johnny Somali gets convicted on those deepfake charges, he's staring down another 7 years, stacking his total time to a brutal 12 years behind bars. 12 years for the same man who bragged that no one could stop him. Not even foreign governments. 12 years for someone who mocked history's darkest moments, but never imagined he'd end up as a cautionary tale in a courtroom. And the reaction in South Korea? Absolutely blistering. Clips of him kissing comfort woman statues, blasting North Korean anthems on trains, and mocking elderly store clerks have set off national outrage. The backlash isn't just on social media anymore, it's reached the government itself. Lawmakers are now talking about drafting new laws to clamp down on nuisance streamers, and they're using his name as the example of why those rules are needed. This is not the fame he dreamed of, it's the nightmare version of it. Johnny Somali isn't an innovator of streaming, he's a walking warning label for what happens when arrogance meets accountability. And the cruel twist? He's still feeding the flames. Even as charges pile up, he's been live streaming half-dressed, yelling nonsense in Seoul's streets, flashing his US passport like it's supposed to protect him. But that so-called shield, it's cracking fast. And this time, there's nowhere left to hide.
Anyway, Johnny Somali was arrested partially for his own safety because after days of him streaming himself being incredibly rude and disruptive in South Korea, there were literally hundreds of Asian people on the street, all hunting down a black guy to sucker punch.
A Bangkok-based attorney following the case didn't sugarcoat it. He said flat out, the US State Department will not intervene. For the first time ever, Johnny Somali is truly on his own. No backup, No protection, no diplomatic rescue, just him and the fallout of his own chaos. Peel back the layers, and what you see is a man trapped in the mess he built himself. He wanted to be untouchable, the global provocateur who couldn't be silenced. But instead, he's stuck in South Korea, banned from leaving, banned from streaming, and buried under fines and endless court paperwork. The show is over, and the spotlight has turned cold. Even his so-called apology videos are blowing up in his face.
Johnny Somali is frequently getting arrested in foreign countries for his on-stream behavior, but they always let him go. With the amount of sentences this guy's avoided, you'd think he's autistic.
He claims he's just a young man learning, or culturally unaware. But people aren't buying it. Not when he keeps the same offensive posts online while begging for forgiveness in the next breath. Is the oldest influencer trick in the book. Say sorry with one hand while stirring up more controversy with the other. But this time, the crowd isn't laughing. It's the prosecutors watching. And their verdict will carry more weight than any subscriber count or viral moment he ever had. And the wildest part? This story isn't even close to over. It feels like we're only halfway up the roller coaster because fresh charges are still rumored to be on the way. From blasting North Korean propaganda in public to acting inappropriately around families at amusement parks, every new accusation could stretch his sentence even further. Each one chips away at the last scraps of his fake confidence. Yeah, he still wears that red hat. He still tries to walk with that same old swagger. But the countdown's already ticking. His 5-year sentence is sealed, his $37,000 fine is locked in, and that deepfake case hangs over him like a storm waiting to break. We're watching a man who once made fame off chaos, now facing a future where silence and isolation are his new normal. Peace enforced by cold bars and concrete walls. And what happened next? It's like something straight out of a dystopian thriller. The public outrage exploded, spilling out from online comments into real life. South Korean YouTubers, forum users, and even everyday people formed a full-blown bounty hunter network. Whenever Somali went live, people were tracking him in real time, sharing screenshots, dropping map pins, and calling out his location like a manhunt stream for the world to see. The second Johnny Somali popped up on a subway platform or a convenience store camera, it was game on. Within minutes, someone was sprinting straight toward him. One local influencer even threw out a wild $1,000,001 bounty, just under $800, for anyone who could land a punch while he was live streaming. And trust me, people took that offer seriously. Soon enough, clips started flooding in. Somali getting smacked mid-broadcast, his cocky grin twisting into pure shock as reality hit back. Literally. Strangers who'd had enough of his antics decided they weren't waiting for justice. They'd deliver it themselves.
A kick streamer is facing 20 years in a South Korean prison after filming himself harassing women, trashing businesses, and disrespecting war monuments.
The same audience that once tuned in for chaos was now watching for karma, tuning in to see him cornered, humbled, and humiliated on camera. This wasn't content anymore, it was payback. The streets of Seoul had become the stage for poetic justice, and every confrontation made the spectacle bigger. His downfall turned into a real-life chase scene that no one could look away from, and the fascination just kept growing. What started as one man exploiting cultures for clicks turned into a nationwide movement that refused to let him fade into obscurity. For many South Koreans, this wasn't about clout. It was about restoring respect. Every time Johnny Somali mocked a statue, poured noodles across the counter, or blasted offensive music on public transport, he wasn't just being edgy. He was chipping away at the patience of a people known for their restraint. But by the time that bounty post went viral, that restraint had vanished. The public had seen enough. And instead of backing down, Somali poured more fuel on his own fire, filming himself bruised, drunk, and stumbling into court late like he was still performing for an audience that barely existed anymore. It was desperate, messy, and painfully public. The man who once bragged about being untouchable was now more isolated than ever, surrounded not by fans, but by locals who had turned from passive onlookers into active participants in his downfall. The spectacle wasn't just online anymore. It had spilled into real life, and even the physical confrontations were making international headlines.
So he was living in Japan for a while, and one night he gets drunk and he live streams himself putting on a fake Asian accent, and he starts saying racist things on the subway.
Hiroshima and Nagasaki, we destroy it because you don't know how to behave. You know Hiroshima and Nagasaki. We're gonna do it.
The AI scandal hit on a completely different level. It wasn't just shocking, it was historic. Johnny Somali's alleged creation of an explicit deepfake featuring a South Korean streamer has been called a potential landmark case by legal experts. Up until now, digital manipulation has floated in a legal gray zone, but prosecutors claim they finally have something solid. An AI-generated video, allegedly made and shared by Somali himself, without the victim's consent, targeting a real person in the most invasive way possible. Legal commentators are already warning that this trial could rewrite the rulebook on how the world handles AI abuse, defining the line between creativity and exploitation once and for all. One Seoul-based attorney even said that if Somali is convicted, he won't just be punished, he'll become the precedent. And in the world of internet law, becoming a precedent means your name echoes through every courtroom, every policy debate, every future lawsuit about what digital misconduct really means. It's chilling when you think about it, how casually one man played with powerful tools, millions used for harmless fun, and turned them into a weapon. Now the entire internet has to face the fallout of that recklessness. South Korea's parliament has already started citing Somali's case in discussions about tougher AI laws. This isn't just short-term infamy, this is the kind that outlives any sentence. Even if he serves 5, 10, or 12 years, Johnny Somali's name will stay stamped on the moment when tech abuse finally met its reckoning. South Korea finally drew the line, cracking down hard on AI-generated abuse. And the irony, it's brutal. Johnny Somali always wanted to be remembered as the wild provocateur, the ultimate nuisance streamer who couldn't be ignored, but he will be remembered, just not the way he dreamed. Instead of being seen as a rebellious entertainer, he's now the reason lawmakers grabbed a sledgehammer and started smashing through the loopholes in digital law. But the story doesn't stop there. It gets darker. Whispers are spreading about something much bigger than nuisance streaming, something that edges into political danger. Somali's strange fixation with blasting North Korean propaganda in public spaces has fueled wild speculation that his stunts might have deeper, more sinister layers.
Although Johnny is incredibly good at getting out of things. For example, somehow he was able to leave Israel a free man after he was arrested for harassing a military police officer.
Playing the DPRK anthem on buses and in subway stations might have started as a trolling joke for donations, but prosecutors reportedly aren't laughing anymore. They're investigating whether those actions could violate South Korea's strict National Security Act, a law that takes propaganda offenses dead seriously. One American lawyer following the case even warned that repeated use of North Korean content could land him another 7 years behind bars. The king of chaos might have thought he was trolling, but now he's flirting with treason-level consequences. But here's the real twist, the one that takes this whole saga from wild to downright chilling. Some observers are now asking the question no one saw coming. Is Johnny Somali's obsession with DPRK imagery just plain stupidity, or is there something bigger at play? Was he really just rage baiting for donations, or knowingly or not, was he being used as a pawn to push divisive propaganda right on one of the world's most explosive borders? The thought alone is outrageous and terrifying. Imagine it.
My guess is police have been looking for an excuse to bring him down for a long time. And finally, he did something.
The self-proclaimed king of chaos, stumbling into the role of an accidental propaganda tool. What started as reckless trolling might have crossed into a realm that even he doesn't understand. The scale of this mess is huge. Somali's no longer just an obnoxious internet troll getting fined for public stunts. He's now sitting at the center of a full-blown perfect storm. Citizens are literally chasing him through the streets. Lawmakers are rewriting national laws because of him. And prosecutors are eyeing potential ties that creep dangerously close to espionage territory. His once laughable online antics have turned into a geopolitical cautionary tale. The deeper we dig, the clearer it gets. Johnny Somali isn't just facing punishment anymore. He's standing in the middle of a global spotlight, and his legal nightmare is only just beginning. The obstruction charges are locked in. The $37,000 fine, stamped, sealed, and unforgettable. But the investigations aren't slowing down. They're multiplying like wildfire. Fresh allegations keep spilling out. Anti-terror law violations, disturbing behavior near families, possible substance possession, and now those chilling whispers about deeper propaganda ties. So here's the real question. Has Johnny Somali finally reached the end of his chaotic reign, or has he accidentally written himself into a much bigger story, one that goes beyond trolling and dives straight into the pages of history? Will his name go down as just another reckless provocateur who got what was coming, or as the first major warning shot slingshot in the global fight against AI abuse and digital manipulation? Whatever the answer, one thing's for sure, this saga has gone far beyond streaming. It's become a case study in how fame, ego, and technology can collide in the ugliest way possible. Now it's your turn. What does justice look like here? Should he face the full weight of the system, or is this punishment already too much? Drop your verdict in the comments, hit that like button, share this video, and don't forget to subscribe for more breakdowns of the scandals shaping our world. See you on the next one. Stay sharp, stay curious, and remember, the line between spectacle and scandal is thinner than you think.